Hello, I'm Marion Fulker and I'm the CEO of Perth's leading think tank, the Committee for Perth. Welcome to FACTBase Talks, an online series where you get to hear the latest research from our organisation. FACTBase is a long-standing joint venture research program between the Committee for Perth and the University of Western Australia. We are the leaders in delivering tangible research that drives structural, cultural and behaviour change on issues that matter to the people of Greater Perth. To date, the partnership has produced more than 80 pieces of research, creating a knowledge base on issues that affect our region and its future. These include the economy, global competitiveness, transport and mobility, gender equality, and the region's demography and geography, to name but a few. Each of these is available on our website for download free of charge. I trust you find the information and analysis contained in this presentation stimulating and that it adds to your understanding of a complex issue that affects us all.
Hi everyone and welcome to FACTBase 80, the third and final bulletin in the Race to the Top project. A quick recap. FACTBase Bulletin 78 and 79 focus on the overall labour demand and supply in WA and Greater Perth. FACTBase 80 will focus at firm level in terms of skill usage and transferability. This bulletin provides a framework for assessing core competencies and specialist skills that are shared across broad occupation groups. It reviews vocational education and training, as well as university graduates' employability by field of study and how their skills and qualifications are used in the workforce. Finally, employers' assessment of graduate skills and attributes are presented. The data can inform on areas for further improvements, particularly in terms of the engagement between education providers and businesses. FACTBase 80 brings together data from the National Centre for Vocational Education Research, National Skills Commission and quality indicators for learning and teaching. Let's look at the framework for skills transferability. The role of skills transferability is gaining importance, as you know, among researchers and policymakers as countries look for ways to engage a mobile workforce. Skill transferability enables workers to pivot between occupations and industries to take advantage of new opportunities and applying their skills to different jobs. There are a number of ways that we can explore the framework for skill usage and transferability. I'll be using the National Skills Commission's classification framework, where transferable skills are categorised into core competencies and specialist tasks. You can think about core competencies as this kind of skills that are common to all jobs, and they include literacy, numeracy, digital, planning and organising, problem solving, communication and learning. Specialist tasks are day-to-day work. While these skills can be transferred across occupations and industry, they are not universal. Here's an example of core competencies shared across professional occupations. A similar breakdown is also available for technicians and trade workers and community and personal service workers in the bulletin. So most occupations require intermediate core competency. The top 5 core competencies across all occupations are oral communication, reading, writing, problem solving, and learning. If you look at the graph here, about 155 professional occupations require workers to learn, that is, understand the implications of new information for both current and future problem solving and decision making, and also to be able to problem solve, for example, identify complex problems and review related information to develop and evaluate options and implement solutions. Professional occupations require some or all core competencies, include accountant general, web designer, intensive care specialist, quantity surveyor and ICT support engineer. With specialist tasks, the degree to which similar skills are transferable across occupations depends on the time spent doing the task. Obviously, the greater the proportion of time an individual spends doing the task, the less transferable the skills become across occupations. The graph here shows that specialist tasks are more transferable within health and education occupations. For example, there are 9 professional occupations, including teachers, ICT trainers, education aides, human resource advisors, and management consultant in a specialist cluster relating to developing educational material and program. There are 8 professional occupations in a cluster that required individuals to collect, document and communicate medical information. Example of occupations that fall within this cluster include midwives, registered nurses, medical diagnostic radiographer and sonographer. The success of the transition from one occupation to another will depend on several factors, such as regulatory requirements for licensing and registration in some occupations, barriers to skills transferability, employability, and individual choice. So in addition, job mobility is not simply an economic process. While individuals make decisions on work based on earnings and career development, they will also consider other factors such as lifestyle and personal commitments. Therefore, understanding how businesses and government can influence individual choice is important for developing attraction and retention strategies. How graduates engage in the labour market is important to building the future workforce. These graphs here show the occupation distribution of those who completed a bachelor's degree or higher by age, the left-hand side graph, and those who started but did not finish a bachelor's degree or higher, the right-hand side graph. What I presented here is the 2009 cohort, which captures the individuals when they were 15 years old in 2009 and followed them through to 2019 when they were 25 years old. From the left-hand side graph, we can see that those with a bachelor's degree or higher tended to work in professional occupations as represented by the dark grey area. In comparison, from the right-hand side graph, those who do not have a bachelor's degree or higher tended to work in a range of occupations, notably professional, community service and personal service, the blue area, and sales, the orange area. More data are needed to understand different employment pathways by educational attainment over an individual's life. So what we have here is data that only capture the individuals up to when they're 25 years old. How does qualifications then play out in the labour market? This table shows the proportion of full-time employed university undergraduates by their field of study over the short term as captured 4 to 6 months after graduation. And this is represented by the first column of data for each of the year cohort shown in the table, and the medium term, which captures the labour market outcome of graduates 3 to 4 years after they finish their degree. And this is represented in the second column of data in the table. So the proportion of undergraduates who were employed in full-time jobs in the short term was lower than those who have graduated 3 or 4 years ago, indicating that there's an initial adjustment period. In the short term, undergraduates who study science and math, creative arts, humanities, culture and social science, and agriculture and environment studies typically had the lowest proportion of graduates being employed full-time. However, their employability improved 3 to 4 years after graduation. In contrast, graduates with degree in medicine, dentistry, and nursing have a high percentage of full-time work. These fields have very clear education to work transition pathways. Moving on to vocational education and training, the data for vets show that those who completed vet study, the left-hand side graph, were more likely to be employed as professionals, as represented by the grey area, community and personal service workers, as represented by the blue area, clerical and administrative workers, the purple area, and technicians and trade workers, the black area. In comparison, those who did not complete vet study were most likely to work as labourers, as indicated by the aqua area. Examining the qualification outcome for vet, this table shows the percentage of vet graduates in employment by field of study. Graduates in information technology and creative arts had the lowest employment rate. Less than 61% were employed after completing their training. Those who have a degree in education had the highest employment rate, where at least 82% were employed after they completed their training. Moving on to skill usage, this table shows the percentage of university undergraduates who were working in jobs that did not fully use their skills and education. As you can see, underutilisation is less prevalent among those with vocational degrees compared to generalist degrees, particularly over the short term. For example, less than 12% of graduates in medicine, dentistry, pharmacy and nursing were working in jobs that did not match their skills and education, compared with over a quarter of graduates who study computing and information technology, science and maths, agriculture and environment, business and management, and humanities, culture and social sciences. 3 and 4 years after graduation, the data show that most students were working in jobs that matched their skills and education. However, job match remained better for graduates with clear education to work, transition pathways, as indicated by the fields of study such as medicine and dentistry. Labour market factors such as a lack of suitable jobs were the main reasons why graduates were working in jobs that did not fully utilise their skills and education. Non-labour market factors such as graduates were satisfying their current jobs, so therefore had no desire to change jobs, or were studying, were some of the reasons for them working in jobs that did not fully utilise their skills and education. So how do employers rate skills and attributes of graduates? The data here show that there was a high percentage of employees who were very satisfied with university undergraduates' domain-specific skills and knowledge, as represented by the black shaded columns. In comparison, fewer employees were satisfied with the undergraduates' teamwork and interpersonal skills, that is the orange coloured columns, personal attributes, the plum-coloured columns, and institutional and course attributes, the aqua-coloured columns. Over time, more employees were satisfied with the graduates' adaptive skills, while fewer employees were satisfied with their domain-specific skills and knowledge. What we've shown here is there was a high proportion of employers who reported that a qualification could have better prepared graduates for technical and professional skills and domain-specific skills and knowledge. In contrast, fewer employers reported a qualification could have better prepared graduates in teamwork and interpersonal skills, personal attributes and foundation skills. So this suggests that these type of skills may be better addressed in the workforce or prior to the students actually entering post-school education. To sum up, understanding how skills can be used across occupations can help address skill demand and labour mobility. Most occupations require intermediate core competencies, skills that are unique to occupations and where the worker spends a large part of their time performing the task are less transferable across occupations. The data have shown us that skills mismatch occurs among graduates, particularly those with generalist degree with no education to work transition pathways. While skill mismatch decline with time in the workforce, the cost of the mismatch to the individual and employers needs to be addressed. The survey of employee satisfaction with graduate skills and attributes suggests there's a need for engagement between education providers, businesses and students to minimise skill mismatch and prepare graduates for the workforce. To sum up, in planning the future workforce, I think consideration should be given not only to qualifications, but other factors, such as the type of skills that are transferable, as well as factors influence education choice, career choice, and labour mobility. Thank you.